Hello everyone. Let me explain the solution for library practice case. I already shared the library yearly practice on Blackboard, so I ask you guys to read this case carefully and think about how to draw ERD, and I want you guys to draw ERD by yourself. What I want to do is I will provide my solution, and I want you guys compare your solution with my solution. Okay. So this one is could be the most complicated complicated case compared with your assignment. But actually, if you read this carefully, you should be able to I believe you can summarize this case with a couple of sentences. So what I want to do is you have to find, when you need to draw ERD, you need to find entity first, right? And to find entities, it's better to summarize your sentence into this form. Okay, subject, verb, object, or subject, or verb. So if you didn't read the case yet, please read this case carefully, at least for 10 minutes, and then try to make summarized sentences. Right? You can pause this video for minutes, then you can resume this video. Okay. Alright, let me summarize this case into this form. What I can do is patrons borrow or rent book, right? And patrons, if the book copy is not available, patron can reserve book, right? And all the patrons consist of undergraduates and faculties, right? And each different object share common attribute or characteristics, or they have their own distinctive characteristics. Okay. So that's it actually. That's all about the case. But if you read carefully, there's actually a tricky part. What patrons actually there's another relationships. Yeah, there's another sentence. Book catalogs. Catalogs have book catalog may have multiple book copies. Okay, so if you find this fact, you need to think about those two first sentences. What actually patrons can borrow or rent is book, not book. It is book copy, right? If you go to library, what you can borrow is book copy, right? Copies. And also, when the book copy is not available, any of book copy is not available, you can make a reservation on book copy. No, the catalog. The reason is, if you make a reservation on each book copy, you need to make all book copies under the same catalog, right? Let's say there are book copies. There are four book copies. Harry Potter 1, okay, and all book copies are now available right now. And if you want to read book copy, then you have to make a reservation on book catalog. In that case, any book copy is returned. You will be able to borrow the book copy, right? Otherwise, if you needed to make a book copy, if you needed to make a reservation in book copy, you need to make reservation for all book copies, right? Otherwise, you have no idea which book copy will be written first. So what you can do is what you have to think is patrons can reserve own book catalog, right? So that's the all relationships I can find. That's all effect I can find in this case. So what you have to do, you have to use patrons, book copies, book catalog, undergraduate, graduate faculties, and well, as each entity. Okay, so let me go to ERD. I already drew a book catalog, book copy. So there's two ways, and this is quite simple. Book copies, book catalog. But what about patrons? There are two ways to draw patrons. Okay, first, you can have distinctive three different patrons types, such as undergraduate, okay, or graduate, or faculties. Or if you want to allow patrons allow three different types of patrons, you can draw like this. So I'm going to provide two solutions, right? Well, before adding patrons, let me find attribute for those two book copies. Okay, book catalogs attribute. I'm gonna go back to book information. Book title, main theme, or book. It have to be book title. I'm sorry, not book title, not book catalog. So you have to be book title, right? Okay, book titles, main theme, title, right? But now catalog number is primary key, right? So catalog number has to be primary key, and I will move up, and the author, publisher. So again, you need to determine the attribute type for this, but for now I'm going to skip because I want to quickly finish my explanation. So I want you guys think about what attribute will be given for all those attributes. Okay, not only for this one, you need to think about attribute for all entities. Okay, book copies here, book titles here. What about book copy? Into the copy making copy number. Okay, I just double click. Well, if you double click it, then you will see the pop window. Book copy number, and then obviously there needs to be primary key, right? Edition, publication year. Okay. ISBN, book status, if it's written or not, right? Or if it's rented or not. So it could be rented, on shelf, or unavailable for other reason. Rented, available, so maybe will be used as code for available. I'm sorry. One is granted and two is unavailable for other reason. Okay. What about, okay, I think, yeah, due date. Date of due. Okay, obviously date of due have to be date, right? Alright, so let's think about the relationships between book titles and book copy. There are many book copies under book catalog, right? So it have to be one too many, right? And let's think about mandatory or optional. So with the book title, we can maintain book copy information, right? So the title needs to be mandatory. And what about book copy? Without buying any book copy, we don't need to maintain any book title, right? Or if you add assumption like this, even though your library don't have any book copy, if you want to exchange information with different libraries for the patrons, you may maintain book titles information without physical book copy. So in that case, you can allow optional, right? But to make sure if it's optional or mandatory, you need to add your own assumption. That's what you have to do, okay? So, but I will allow optional. So in that case, I need to add memo. Library and in book title information without book copy, since the library can ask other libraries can exchange or can ship or receive book copies from other libraries. So, yeah, it is disconnected here. And to make sure, you need to add your note. Alright? Okay, so we're done by book titles and book copy. Think about and from now I'm going to draw two different diagrams. Two different diagrams are all correct. So first, I will maintain different patron types under patron. So to do that, I need to add patrons. Oh, okay. Let me delete patrons. Okay. And let me add undergraduate. And if you want to maintain undergraduate as type of patron, you need to choose sport type, right? Then you will see undergraduate will located within patrons, right? Let me add graduate. So I will have graduate entity, sub-entity within patrons, just like undergraduate. Alright, graduate is here, right? So in that case, I need to increase the size of patrons. Okay, to have undergraduate and graduate and faculty as well. Okay. So I have three different patrons within patron. So patron is super type, undergraduate and graduate H, and faculties are subtype. So let me double click the patrons because there is there's common information for different patrons. Okay, so patrons. Okay, basic information about all patrons is name, right? Address, telephone. But the primary key is not given here, so I need to add primary key. So let me double click patron first. Okay, and we'll go to attribute and patron ID. Okay. Alright, primary key. It have to be primary key. And name. And name here. Normally you need to separate first and last name, right? But I will just use as a name because I want to quickly. I want to quickly make a shorter video clip. But when you need to draw, when you need to draw the ERD, you have to separate the name to first name, last name, and middle name. Okay. Address. Also, address needs to be separated into several attributes, right? Telephone number. Okay, so that's it for patrons. So you will able to see for attributes are added. Let me add attributes for different patrons. To add attributes for distinctive attributes for undergraduate type, you need to double click it. Okay, but before double click, you need to you need to make sure select undergraduate. Okay, let me go to undergraduate. Where is undergraduate? Okay, right here. Program. And total credit hours. Okay, here's another question. Do we need to add primary key for undergraduate attribute? No, you're fine, because as long as undergraduate subtype of patrons, undergraduate has patron ID, name and address, telephone number as attribute. Those are common attribute. So primary key for undergraduate is a patron ID. So you don't need to add any other primary key. Okay, so then go to next one, which is graduate students. Graduate program. Advisor. Okay, so that's it. But again, I just didn't choose any attribute type. But when in your ERD, every single ERD, you need to choose a source type. Okay, that's what you have to do. Okay, for faculty, office address. Okay, office address. And what else? Telephone number. Alright, that's it. And I'm going to adjust its size, its height. Okay, so Okay, so we need to find the relationships between patrons and book title and patrons and book copy. Okay, so we didn't find any specific relations, distinct relationships for each different patron. So we can draw relationships from book title and book copy to patrons, that individual different title of patrons. So let's go to here. Okay, patrons can rent book copies. Basically, the relationships between book copies is many to many. The reason is, okay, let's think about the case when is one too many. That means patrons can borrow a different book copies, but here's if it's one here. Once the book copy is rented by any patrons, the book copy cannot be borrowed by any patrons later. So it is awkward, right? What about this case? 120. Oh, I'm sorry. One too many. In this case, the book can be borrowed by many book patrons, but patron can borrow one book copy only. It doesn't make sense, right? So you have to be, basically you have to be many to many, right? Many to many. But we don't use many to many relationship. So to replace it, we need to add a bridge entity between book patrons and book copy, which will be rent. Okay. And if you add bridge, the many will go to side of bridge, right? And one will go to fact entity, book copy or patron or book title. So let me delete the relationships. Okay. And you need to draw one too many from patrons and rent, and from book copies to rent. So, alright, the rent information without patron, right? Without patron, having information of rent is meaningless, right? To fulfill the rent, we must have patrons, right? Without patron, rent cannot be happened. So it have to be mandatory, right? What about book copy and book title? Without actual book copy, we can fulfill the information of rent. So it have to be mandatory for both, right? So rent is in mandatory one to mandatory many, and mandatory one to mandatory many, right? Let's find the information for rent. Rent here, so loan. Oh, I will use loan instead of rent. Loan. Okay. Loans. Okay. Loans. Abstract object. Workers, patrons, circulate desk. Okay. Blah blah blah. Over time. Loan can have many physical books associated with it. Okay. Can be on many loans over a period of time. Past loan kept database. So in this case, it's one copy. Okay. Okay, so maybe I need to maintain information of the due date. Okay. Loan patron ID. So although I didn't have any attribute, again what I explained before, if you have mandatory one-to-many relationships, then you automatically have foreign key, right? I didn't add anything, but anyway, I always had. And date return have to be information maintained, and Preditron ID book copy number have to be primary key, right? Okay. So if you can have okay, well, I can choose primary ID here. So let me add loan ID as a primary key. Okay, so that's it. Loan ID, date, and returned are attribute added arbitrarily. Okay, so and what about relationship between book titles and patrons? It also main to main, right? Because patrons can make can reserve on book title, right? And also once the reservation is done, patrons should be able to make another reservation, right? And book title can be reserved by many patrons, so you have to many to many. But just like loan, we need to use bridge, which is reservation. Okay, and in reservation, we need to maintain information about date reserved, but we have to add reservation ID, which is primary key, right? ID. Okay, and date reserved priority and date fulfilled. Okay, and then we need to add relationships like loans for loans. So you have to be, well, just like loans without patron, without book title, reservation cannot be fulfilled. So you have to be mandatory 1 to mandatory many, and mandatory 1 2 and mandatory many as well. So we shouldn't choose any optional. Okay, well, that is almost 90% completed. We have to think about yeah. So a catalog number is foreign key. So that's it. Yeah, that's it. And for my first solution, okay. And let me add new design. Okay, new design. And I will paste. Okay, so I cannot paste multiple URD. So okay, so I can edit. Let me just add 3. Oh, I can copy it. So I need to copy one by one. No, I can't copy multiple objects, so I need to copy one by one. Okay, paste. Okay, and copy. Okay, so because the second part is related regarding with patrons, so I'm going to complete relationships between book titles and book copy first. Okay, and it have to be 1 to many, right? And it have to be optional according to my assumption. Alright, and then what I want to show you is when the case when you want to maintain separated different patron types. So in this case, you have to, if you want to do that, you can have independent undergraduate entity and graduate and faculties. Okay, and graduates. What is it? Graduates and faculties. Okay, so I just added, and because those three entities and attributes are separated, not under patrons, each patron type needs to maintain the same or common attributes. Okay, so common attributes for undergrad and graduate is are like patrons, patron's name, right? But in this case, because we will maintain distinct patron type information, we must have primary key for undergraduate, such as student ID, okay, and will be primary key. Name, address, and telephone number. Okay. And then, just like undergraduate, you need to have. I forget undergraduate. Where's undergraduate? Yeah, program. Program and total credit hours. Okay. And at least student ID, name, address, telephone number are common, because those are common, so you need to have same attribute. Okay. Let me copy name and student ID, which is primary key, and name, address, and telephone number, and graduate program. And what else? Yeah, advisor, right? Okay, so we're done by graduates. What about faculties? Also need to have same information, right? But for this case, I may use faculty ID as a primary key, unlike undergraduates and graduates. Name, yeah, primary key. Address, telephone number, and office address. And telephone number. Okay, so I just defined 3 different patrons, right? So you need to find the relationships between book title and book title and undergraduate and graduate and faculties. They may have all different. By default, the relationship you have to draw all different many-to-many for book title and book copy. Okay. And okay, so it's going to be complicated, right? So to replace many-to-many, you need to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bridges. Okay, 6 bridges. So to replace 6 many-to-many relationships, I need to add 6 different bridges. Okay. Loans, undergraduate, loans, graduates. Okay. Loans, faculties. And reservation, undergraduate. Reservation, graduate. And undergraduate reservation, faculty. So you have to draw 12 one-to-many relationships between undergraduate or graduate or faculties to book titles or book copy. So it's going to be slightly complicated, right? But anyway, even though you draw patrons like this, if you engineer I'm going to leave the second solution as uncompleted. The reason is I don't want to draw 12 relationships. But if you see, eventually you need to draw it. But if you engineer this first solution to relational ERD, then you'll see very similar ERD. Let me engineer it, okay? Okay, let me engineer to relational model. Okay, and then that's what we'll see, what you will see. Okay. Well, it's slightly different than from my expectation, but anyway. So you have reservation, loans between patrons, and book title or book copy. Okay, so that's it. So if you have, and also when you need to show relational model or any ERD, you need to make sure to show or information to be shown like this. Okay, that's what you have to do. If I don't see in your solution, then maybe your score could be deducted. Okay, so that's it. So that's my solution. Okay, so if you have any other questions on the assignment or library case, then you're welcome to send email, or you are always welcome to ask Zoom office hour. Alright? Okay, so thank you for watching my video, and I will see you guys in the next video clip.